Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Hiba from My Little Journal, and today I'm here to probably do a quick flip through of my reading journal and then set up the month of March. I'm kind of behind just because February was a very, very busy month, but I'm just behind setting up March, even though I'm still reading my first book of March, and today I think is March 8th. And that's because my friend Elizabeth and I are reading our big book challenge for the month. And that's why it's taking me longer to finish the book, if that makes sense. But anyways, let's take a look at my reading journal so far. I've mentioned this before. I changed it up for 2024, and I'm so happy that I did because I've really been enjoying the process. I've read every single day for this year, which is exciting. My bookshelfie is up to date. Once I'm done with the Shell Seekers that I'm reading with my friend Elizabeth, I will add it to the shelf. And then we have the Reading with Hiba. Once I read Against the Loveless World, I'm going to add that there. I think that's what the book is called, Against the Loveless World. Yeah, I believe so. I'm just going to add that there and just add my star rating. And I'll also add the Shell Seeker here for our next big book. This year we decided to read 6 instead of 12 because I don't think we've ever hit the 12 book goal. And I think 6 makes more sense just because they're bigger books. My What I Read 2024 is up to date as well. I love the colors that I end up adding to my numbers. It just adds a pop of color there, and also I can look at it and kind of see how many books I read that month. We have our Goodreads challenge. I'm on book 19 for the year. And then I have my book lovers page with all my book covers. Again, once I start reading for March, I'll print all of March's book covers and add them to the little page here. I think I said this last time. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit a whole year on this page. This is a B6 notebook, so it's really, really small. And so I might have to add another page, probably in the back of my notebook or something. But I did add a few things to the back, and I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. I decided to keep track of my TBR, or the books that my physical books that I have on my shelves. Anyways, we are in January. I did share this with you last month, and we set up a few pages together, and I love how it turned out. I do want to mention that I messed up in February. I wanted to keep my favorite book as my first page for each month, and I didn't do that in February. You'll see in a little bit. I totally forgot about it. We're going to actually set it up together. It ends up at the end of the month, which is not a big deal. I'm not worried about it. Now I'll remember to add that page or leave a blank page every month before I start adding my book covers. I also mentioned that I am drawing my own book covers, and I'm really, really enjoying that. It's been so fun doing this myself. It's just a nice, relaxing time for me. I know some people think it's overwhelming, and they've been telling me that, oh my gosh, can't believe you're sitting there drawing every single book cover. But honestly, I've been really enjoying this. Once I read a book, I will draw it and then add all the things to the page. So I'm not waiting until I have a bunch of books. Then it would become overwhelming. Once I'm done with a book, I'll draw it, add the journaling or the review, and be done with it. So I don't find it to be overwhelming, especially that I went with a smaller notebook this year. But anyways, we are in February. I did set this up with you in my last reading journal video. I've read 7 books and 2,356 pages read. So definitely January was a win by far, but you know, 1 book read is enough. So I'm happy with 7. That's amazing for me. And for February, I read The Death of Mrs. Westaway. and I gave it 4 stars. It was a good one. I have a love-hate relationship with Ruth Ware. I don't know what it is, but this one was a good one. It kept me wanting more. Then I read Midnight is the Darkest Hour. This, I ended up giving it a 2. Was not a favorite. I don't know. It was missing something and it dragged. So that was a 2 for me. For the Reading with Hiba book club, we read Hello Stranger. It was a romance and it was so good. Oh my gosh. I don't know how long it's been since I read a good romance. And so that one got a 5 stars. And this is going to be my favorite book for February. So we'll put that layout together and I'll share with you how that spread turns out. Good Luck Charm was book 15. Also romance, not my favorite. I gave it 3 stars. I always, I even looked back on this and I felt like 3 stars was kind of generous. I should have given it a 2 stars. But anyways, not a big deal. It was just okay. I also read Bright Young Women. I gave it a 4 stars. This could have been a 5 for me, but it was missing something. I don't know what it is, but it was not a 5-star for me. But it was a really, really good book, worth the read. So I gave that 4. And then I read The Reunion, which is also a romance, and didn't like it at all. I gave it 2 stars. I'm even shocked that I finished this book. It was dragging. I wasn't interested in any of the characters. It was just not a good book for me. So I'm gonna not recommend this to anyone, honestly. It was just not fun. Anyways, last but not least, for February, I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This was recommended to me by my friend Elizabeth, and this is the same author from a previous book that we read for the book club, which is Foe. And so because I, kind of enjoyed Foe, and she recommended this and said it was better than Foe, so I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This book kept me thinking and confused, and I loved it. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. I don't recommend this for everybody. I feel like this is not for everyone. And if you read the reviews on Goodreads, you'll see what I mean. But I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. So this is where my dilemma, because I ended up forgetting to add my favorite book page, leave a blank one for my favorite book. And so I'm going to have to add it to the end of February, not the beginning of February, which is okay. But I basically want to set it up exactly like January. I'm not going to overthink things. I'm just going to keep it very simple and basic. So I think I'm going to end up using the same stamp sets and everything. So I'm going to recreate this for February. And I've already drawn out my calendar for February. And I actually even drew my book cover for February, the first book I read in February. So now that I'm looking at it, I did the same exact mistake. I started it here when I should have started it here. And all that drawing was to waste. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I forget everything. It's okay. I'm just going to erase this and leave this blank and redraw that here. Thank God the cover is not too hard to draw. It's literally 2 seashells. I just always struggle with the font. It never turns out perfect, which is fine, but I hate writing out the author and the title of the book, so it's okay. I guess we're gonna have to erase that, but the good thing is I caught it before I drew it in pen, right? I drew it in pencil there, so we're good to go. Anyways, I thought it would be fun if we just set up March and did my favorite book page and just basically have some fun and bring you along with me. Okay, so I just have a few pages that I need to get done before I start documenting March's reads. So I want to finish up February 1st by completing my favorite book of February page. I will start with this smaller alpha. I believe it's an old Kelly Purkey stamp set. I'm just going to stamp out favorite book of using this smaller alpha stamp. And then I'm going to grab my Carrie Bradford Iris stamp. I love this large alpha stamp. It fits really well in my B6 journal, and it's bold enough to kind of stand out. So I'm going to use that to stamp out February. Like I said earlier, I'm going to keep these pages very similar. I'm going to use the same stamp sets. It makes the process easier for me, and I don't have to think of, what do I do for this page and how should I set this up and all that stuff. I just like how January turned out, so I'm just going to keep up with it throughout this journal. Anyways, I also used another Carrie Bradford book stamp to stamp out the open book. I added my photo. I believe my photo was around 2x3, if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm going to use an older Everyday Explorers stamp set to stamp out title and author. And by the way, I accidentally added format instead of author. So I stamped out format instead of author, and I didn't notice that until later. I might fix it, I might not. You guys know, I just don't worry about things like that. Anyways, I added the star rating, and then I noticed on my last book that I didn't highlight the title and author and all that information. So I went in with my highlighter and highlighted that. And I believe I'm going to move on to my calendar for March. So I've already drawn out my calendar, and I'm just going to go over that with a pen. I do mention these Write-Tech pens. They're fine liners, and I love that you get all the sizes in one pack. So I'm obsessed with those, and I usually use those when I'm creating things like this, like I'm creating calendars and working in my reading journal. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and complete my little calendar and then come back in and make it all cute and pretty. I'm almost done with my calendar. I do want to add the days of the week, so I'm going to use the same stamp set that I've been using for January and February, and I'm going to stamp out these little days of the week circles, and I will also grab my little blobs where I'll be adding how many books I read that month and how many pages I read. Basically, I'm on repeat, and I do like consistency in my reading journal and all of my journals, honestly. Just again, I find it to be a way to make it easier for me to keep up with these projects. Anyways, I did want to mention that if you're new here and you don't know what I use these calendars for, is basically to keep track of how long it took me to read one book. So if I started a book on March 1st, I will add the name of the book on March 1st. I will add a line through the whole time I was reading this book. So if I read it for 8 days, I'll add that line. I'll grab a highlighter, color in that line for the whole period of time I read that same book, if that makes sense. And when I'm done with the book, I will just add the end. And I've done this for a few years now, and I really, really love seeing how long it took me to read a book. It's just visually pleasing. Anyways, I'm going to stamp out March, again, using an old Kelly Purkey stamp. I do mention the stamps I'm using to help you out. A lot of them are older stamps and unavailable. If they are available, I will link them in the description box for you. Anyways, I'm adding some washi tape to give it a pop of color. I will also grab my Zig dot marker to add some dots where I'm going to add the numbers. And I'm just going to grab my pen and fill those in. And then I believe it's going to color in my March and my blobs and then call my calendar done. Really simple, really easy. I know this video is short and fast, but I will flip over the page and erase my cover, my book cover. Sadly, I will not be using that drawn out book cover. Thank God it was an easy one to put together. But because I want to have my March favorite book right after my calendar, I'm not going to be able to use this space for my first book. So I'm just going to go ahead, erase that, and then call my setup done. Okay, you guys, I think I'm done. I erased my book cover here because, like I said, I want my first page to be my favorite book for the month. I'm just going to have to redraw it on the opposite side. It's not a big deal. But we put together March's calendar and February's favorite book. But before I wrap this up, I know it was a short video, just kind of sharing a flip through and just setting up March. But I wanted to share something that I totally forgot to share when I was sharing my flip through at the beginning of this video, is I added these 2 pages, and I can add more as I go. But this is the Reading to Zero. And this is a challenge that a booktuber here on YouTube has started years ago. And I kind of play along every year. I try to read my books from my library. So if you've been here for a while, you know I have a large library. And I used this app called Libib. And you can scan your books in your library. And I scanned all the books that I haven't read yet. So I have it physically, the physical format, but I haven't read the book. And I really want to dig deeper into that. I really want to read my library. So what I decided to do, I thought I wasn't going to keep doing this challenge or kind of not focus on this challenge in 2024. So that's why I didn't add it to the front pages. But then I decided that I actually want to keep trying to read as many books from my shelf. So I added all the books that I haven't read, which is pretty good. It's not that bad. I have 57 books that I haven't read. Well, obviously the ones that are highlighted are books that I've read this year from my bookshelf. But I have almost 200 books in my library. So 60 isn't that bad, I guess. And I'm hoping to shrink that down by the end of the year. And as you can see, I've already read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from my shelf. And I hope to read more as the year goes by. But anyways, I really wanted to share that with you. And hopefully I won't forget sharing this in my future videos. Because I'm really excited about this. I'm proud of myself that I read that many from my shelf already. So anyways, that is it. I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.